New York, 1980. The city is a living, breathing, contradictory organism. On every corner coexist hope and despair, luxury and poverty, music and the noise of violence. It is in this setting that one of the most shocking crimes of the 20th century would take place. A crime that not only took a man's life but also shocked millions of people around the world: the assassination of John Lennon. But to understand what happened on the night of December 8, 1980, it is necessary to go back. One must look not only at the idol but also at the human being. At the same time, one must look in the opposite direction, toward the dark man who decided to become his executioner, Mark David Chapman. John Lennon had gone from being a young man from Liverpool to becoming one of the most influential figures of the 20th century. Alongside the Beatles, he revolutionized music and became a symbol of popular culture. But Lennon was not just music, he was activism, provocation, a voice that challenged the established power. After the band dissolved in 1970, he embarked on a solo career mixing melodies with political, personal, and social messages. Songs like Imagine established him as a prophet of peace, a dreamer who, despite his contradictions, dared to envision a different world. By the late 70s, Lennon was in a different stage of life. After a period of retreat, he returned to music with the album Double Fantasy, a collaboration with Yoko Ono. The album celebrated his family life, his relationship with Yoko, and fatherhood with his son Sean. For Lennon, this return was not only artistic, it was a personal rebirth. He was 40 years old, fulfilled, and felt that his story was just beginning anew. But in parallel, in another corner of the world, someone watched him with a mixture of devotion and resentment: Mark David Chapman. Chapman was born in Texas in 1955. His childhood was marked by abuse and a constant sense of empty. Throughout that day, Chapman remained near the Dakota. He mingled with fans, read his copy of The Catcher in the Rye, and even interacted with the building's doorman. No one suspected anything. He was simply another man in the crowd that idolized Lennon. Meanwhile, John and Yoko spent their day in the recording studio. It was a normal day for them, full of projects and plans. No one could imagine it would be their last. The tension between these two worlds, the life-filled, creative world of Lennon and the obsession-driven, delusional world of Chapman, was approaching an inevitable collision. As night began to fall over New York, the city lights illuminating the streets, and the cold air signaling the onset of winter, Lennon and Yoko prepared to return home after a day of work. Outside, Chapman waited. The clock ticked, and with every passing minute, the story edged closer to an irreversible turn. Chapman had made a decision. There would be no turning back. In his mind, the idea was clear: by shooting Lennon, he would become someone important. He would go from being invisible to being part of history. In this delusion, Chapman found a kind of twisted solace: that his name would forever be linked to the fallen idol. Minutes before the fatal moment, Chapman's nerves were a mix of anticipation and obsessive planning. He rehearsed the act in his mind, imagining the headlines, the shock, the notoriety. Every detail mattered: the exact location, the timing, the angle. His obsession had turned into meticulous preparation. Meanwhile, the Dakota was alive with normalcy. Residents went about their routines, unaware of the danger just outside. Fans still lingered, some hoping for a glimpse of Lennon, others simply caught up in the charm of seeing a music legend in person. Little did they know that the calm of that winter evening was deceptive, a calm before a storm that would shock the world. As Lennon and Yoko exited the building, the cold air hitting their faces, Chapman moved. In the immediate aftermath of John Lennon's assassination, New York and the world were engulfed in shock and mourning. Fans gathered outside the Dakota, holding candles, flowers, and signs. Streets were filled with whispers of disbelief, tears, and the sound of music that had once brought joy now serving as a memorial. Lennon's death was not just the loss of a man, but the sudden absence of a voice that had inspired generations. Yoko Ono, devastated by the sudden violence, struggled to process the enormity of what had happened. Her life, once shared with Lennon in love, art, and activism, was now fractured by tragedy. Sean, their young son, would grow up without the presence of a father whose music and ideals had shaped the world around him. Meanwhile, Mark David Chapman had been arrested at the scene. Sitting quietly, holding the catcher in the rye, he displayed an eerie calm. His actions, calculated and deliberate, had thrust him into infamy, but they also ignited an international discussion about mental illness, celebrity obsession, and the unpredictability of violence. The trial that followed was heavily publicized. Psychologists and psychiatrists examined Chapman's mind, dissecting his motivations and his descent into obsession. They described a man trapped between idolization and resentment, whose personal demons had erupted into irreversible action. The court ultimately sentenced Chapman to a life term in prison, ensuring that he would never again walk free in the world he had sought to dominate through violence. For the public, the tragedy prompted reflection on fame and vulnerability. John Lennon had been a symbol of peace, creativity, and idealism. His music and activism had touched millions, yet even his celebrity could not shield him from the dangers of obsession. The world was forced to confront the fragility of life, the unpredictability of human behavior, and the stark reality that even those who inspire millions can fall victim to the darkness of AT